Hello and welcome to my channel. This is a new channel that I'm starting today, so I'm kind of nervous. So please bear with me while I try and get through this as best as possible. There's just a few things that I need to get through quickly before I get into the bulk of the video. One, I'm using a script. The reason is there's too much I want to say and too much I have to remember, that if I did it without a script, I'd be babbling nonsense. Well, not nonsense, but it wouldn't make sense. And I want my videos to follow a structure so that they make sense to the viewer. So if I'm not looking at the camera, I'm reading my script. Two, I just received a new Windows laptop. And the Windows system I'm not familiar with. I usually use my Apple devices for most things, for all things. So while I'm getting used to the Windows system, please bear with me. I will eventually figure it out. Three, you've probably noticed in the disclaimer that I'm not a licensed anything. And all I can say to add on to that is that if you do seek medical help and advice, that would be better. But if you cannot get to that point in the interim, it's good to go YouTube and social media and find groups that can help you in the short term, but long term medical professional help is better. Right, why am I sitting in my kitchen? Because I'm in the process of redecorating my entire house. So every room, well, let's just say it looks as though a bomb, tornado and tsunami has been through my house all at the same time. Everything is just chaotic while I'm in the process of redecorating. So this is the best area for me to sit right now. And I don't know, you'll probably get a tour of my house as we go through. Let's see what else. I've lost count, so anyway. There are some words that YouTube doesn't like, so I will not say the word, but I will put it up on text into the video so that you still get the point that I'm trying to bring across. And you can probably guess what the words are. And then lastly, what's going to be discussed on my channel is most probably, to most people going through this, of a sensitive nature, and there may be some triggering involved. So what I would say to that is that if you feel overwhelmed, if you feel like it's getting too much, just put the video off and go and get some fresh air, go take a walk, ground yourself first properly, and if you feel up to it, if you are ready for it, then come back to the video. And if you're not ready for it, and if you never come back, that's cool, because my videos are not for, well, they're not of importance. I'm doing this for myself as well as for helping other people, hopefully. But you, the viewer, are the most important person in this whole process. And you must look after your needs first. So if you need to, take a break, have some tea, have some coffee, have a cigarette, whatever floats your boat. Go and do so. Feel free to do so. And if you never come back, that's fine. Just take care of yourself, okay? Right, now that all that's done, the red tape, I will briefly tell you about myself. So, I'm just an ordinary woman. I'm in my early 40s and I'm a mother of 3. Unfortunately, 2 out of my 3 children do not live with me. Only my oldest currently lives with me because he was 16 and they told him he could decide and he chose to live with me. But again, when it gets to that point in my timeline, and I'll go into detail. Yeah, as I already mentioned, what I share with you is not from a professional or medical point of view. It's just my own experiences. Things I've come to realize, how things have affected me, lessons I've learned, and knowledge that I've gained throughout my time that I wish to just share with all of you. Most people in their life are misfortunate enough to meet one. I had the extreme misfortune of dealing with 3. First one was the woman who gave birth to me. Second one was the man I married. The third one was his mother. Each one of them treated me different, affected me differently. However, the tactic they used and the reason behind what they did was the same. If you break away and get to the reason or the tactic behind what they're doing, that is always the same. The method they use, the situations they create, that can be different, that can vary, but the tactic and the reason, that is always the same. And I discovered that throughout my experiences with all 3 of these. Do you know the expression, doesn't just destroy your mental stability, they destroy your very soul. And it's true that it takes so much longer for healing from that, because I'm not going to say it's easy to recover from a mental breakdown, because I've been there myself. I've had a mental breakdown, which is why my kids aren't with me anymore. But repairing your soul, repairing who you are as a person, repairing your identity, repairing yourself as a whole, not just your mental ability or stability, but who you are, that takes a long time. To those who are going through it, I mean, don't be hard on yourself. Just give yourself the time that you need. One thing I did learn during my experience, I always tried, obviously I'll go into more detail when the time comes, but I'll quickly touch on this. I always thought that I wasn't allowed, because they had taught me that I wasn't allowed to feel, I wasn't allowed to have emotions and feelings. And I always buried them, I suppressed them, I didn't experience, I didn't face myself in that sense. And it backfired. And not only did it backfire, but he used that in the whole process, and he took my children from me. But again, we'll get to that when the time comes. Right, so you've probably noticed I'm wearing a mask. And to be honest, I was really debating if I should share this, but in my videos I want total transparency, because I just feel that's the best way. I don't want my audience to feel like I'm keeping secrets. Obviously my personal life and things that I don't need to share on social media won't be shared, but when it comes to this kind of thing, total transparency is best. So why am I wearing a mask? So during the time of my mental breakdown, which I'll go into detail again. I keep saying that, but it's relevant. During the time of my mental breakdown, I didn't care about my self-care at all. I didn't. It wasn't. Just trying to survive the day was enough. And at that point, I still had my children. So I was trying to look after them as best I could and just get through the day. Long story short, by the time I did start caring about, my self-care and looking after myself and, getting all the piercings and rediscovering myself, by the time I started doing that, it was already too late with my teeth. They were decayed, they were chipped, they were broken, they were cracked. It was just, even if I did do self-care, it was already too late. I probably realized that I could no longer eat. It didn't register that I had realized it. So when I started to care, I also started to realize, hey, I can't eat anymore. There's very limited foods that I can eat now, and yeah, it's not ideal because my physical health, my physical stamina, my strength, it's practically non-existent. So that's why I'm wearing the mask. I'm not sharing this for sympathy or anything like that. It's just, I reached a point in all this, even after going to the dentist, and they said, well, we can get it done, we can give you, new teeth, but it's going to cost you like £5,000 or thereabout. And who's got that much money lying around, right? Anyway, so I realized in all that, because it did set me back a while. It did, I'm not going to lie, it set me back in my mental health recovery. It set me back quite a while. But I realized, you know what? There's no point getting upset about it. There's no point beating myself up about it. There's no point in harboring on it, because I've done what I can do, and if I can do more, then I will do more. But also, it happened. It was a situation out of my control. I was going through a mental breakdown. I didn't even think that this would happen. I didn't even realize that this was going to happen. These are not things you think of when your world has crashed down around you and you're just trying to scrape your way back up to the, to the surface again. Realizing that rock bottom does have a basement, it's not an easy climb to get back up again. So these things you don't think about, and I can talk about it now because I realize that yes, I'm not going to go and show my teeth on my channel. I'm not going to take my mask off and show you my horrible ugly teeth, but I can talk about it because I'm not going to say I'm not ashamed, because I am ashamed, but I'm not going to shy away from the fact. And yeah, it just is what it is. So see, I told you I could babble. Yes, so before I go though, I was thinking about like what to share and what to touch on before I left, or in this first video, before I get into the timeline, so you speak. And there is something that I thought, especially in my experiences, if I had had this, I think my whole experience would have been so much different. Because going through and experiencing is difficult enough. But when you try and tell somebody about it, and they don't believe you, and they can't think that what you're saying could be true, I think that's much worse. So what I want to talk briefly on is validation. Because if I had had validation during the social services process, during the court case process, during even the beginning when I realized that the past 12 years or thereabout, I had been experiencing, I think my experience and my recovery process would have been a lot better, because I didn't have someone tell me, I believe you, I understand you. I didn't have anyone I could go to and say, this is happening, that's happening, why is he doing this, why is he doing that? Because what's even worse is that they make it so that it's that, I mean, they isolate you from friends, family. But I also think there's more to it, because I think if you take human beings, even in today's cruel, evil world, and I don't think human beings can actually fathom or realize or truly understand that other human beings are capable of such evil deeds. And then they can't understand that, and they can't believe what you're saying as a victim could possibly be the truth. And then they just decide they're not going to believe you because their brains can't grasp the situation and grasp that it's possible for another human being to be so evil and so cruel. And then at the end of the day, what happens is the victim ends up looking and not being believed, and they spend all their time just trying to get that validation. And all it does is play into the hands, I nearly said the word, it just plays into their hands and gives them the upper hand when it's necessary. So, I want to tell you today, because I know there are some people who need to hear this. And if no one else has told you, I believe you and I understand you. How can I say this? Let me explain. There's a quote, I don't know the ins and outs of it exactly, but I know more or less what it goes about. It's something about if someone who has not experienced for themselves, they cannot understand what the victim is going through. But those who have experienced it can understand. I don't know the exact quotes. I read it years ago, so I just remember what it was about. If you know the exact quote, please drop it in the comments so that, it can help others like it helped me. But I've been through it. I have 3. 3. I can't even. So I understand and I believe you. Don't feel like you're alone, because you're not alone. You really are not alone. And if you look hard enough, and for what I want for my channel, I want to make a community where people can feel safe, can come and share stories, seek advice. You may not get the answers you need. For that, you may need to seek medical help or professional help. But I want to make a place where people can come if you can't access professional medical help, and you can at least come here and feel validated. Have a place where people understand you. People will support you. People will have your back. That's what I want for my channel. That's why I want to share my experiences with all of you. Because if I had had that, I think my journey could have been very different. I don't regret it. I don't. Because as you'll see as I explain my timeline, I also believe that sometimes things have to happen. You know, we have to go through bad things so that good things can come from it. And I was told by somebody that I should use my bad experiences from the 3 that I encountered during my life and turn it into a good experience, which is why I want to do my channel and discuss and talk about and share with you what I went through and how it affected me and what I learned from it. So yeah, that's what I want for this channel. Yeah, anyway, so before I go on and on and on and on, which I can easily do, but you know, I can't pile everything into one video because one, the viewer will get bored and I'll eventually lose my voice. So what I'm going to do is I'm going to say goodbye for now, and in the next videos we'll begin the journey through my childhood and teenage years, married life, and I'll share everything with you that I can remember, because I have that trauma memory block thing. You know, when you experience a traumatic event, your brain blocks it out. There are certain things I cannot remember, certain things are hazy, and certain things I definitely can. Being on the safe side, I'll only share what I definitely can remember, things that I can remember as clearly as though they happened yesterday. I'll share those with you. It all started the day I was born. Not that I'd remember it until I was a bit older, but the woman who birthed me was so yeah. Right, I'll see you guys in the next one. Thanks for sticking around and take care.